Assalamu alaikum students. I hope all of you are doing well. In today's lecture, we are going to start a new concept which you will find very interesting. Up till now, you have already grasped a lot of concepts. You have learned combinational circuits. In today's lecture, we are going to start sequential circuits. All of you have seen Shadi lights, which you can easily find in some Shadi halls. Shadi lights basically are decorative lights which blinks or turns on and off periodically in a sequential manner or in prescribed sequence. After today's lecture and after some couple of lectures, you will be able to design Shadi lights for your own marriage. Yes, if you carefully watch my lectures, you will be able to design your own Shadi lights for your own marriage. Now, first, we have to understand what is sequential machines or sequential circuits. The first thing you know is if you talk about combinational circuits, they have inputs, they have outputs. Let's suppose they have number of inputs m and they have number of outputs n. In combinational circuits, and let's suppose this is your time axis, and I am drawing another time axis t. This time axis is for input and this time axis is for output. So let's suppose if you apply an input here, you will get your output exactly at the same time. This is 0, this is 0, this is T1, this is T1. I am ignoring all the delays that you have studied, for example propagation delay, computational delay, and so on. So in combinational circuits, if you apply an input at time t1, you will get your output at time t1. If you apply another input later, you may get your output at the same time. If you apply your input at t2, you will get your output at t2. I am ignoring the delays. This is how combinational circuits works. Okay, now come to the sequential circuits. Before defining a sequential circuits, let me give you an example. Let's suppose you have a simple register. Register is a combination of flip-flops. As you know, each flip-flop can store 1 bit of memory. So let's suppose you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bits memory register. This is a register. And it has an input and it is its output. I am calling it serial bit shift register. Let's suppose at time instant t1 you apply 1 here. It will store here. Then at t2 you again feed another one. This one will store here and this one will move here. Now let's suppose you apply at time instant t3, you apply a logic level 0. And what will happen? This one will shift here, this one will shift here, and this 0 will be stored here. So it will become 0, 1, 1. Similarly, if you continue at some time instant sorry, I have drawn 7 bits. Now these are 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's suppose at time instant t6, this register looks like this. At t6 you have applied 0. And here you are observing 1 at the output. So let's suppose you want to design a circuit sequential circuits that counts the number of ones in this register. Currently at time instant t6 there are 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 number of ones in this shift register. So let's suppose you continue and at some time instant t7 and if you apply 0 again, this 0 will go here, this 0 will move forward and it will move here, this 1 will go here, similarly second one will go here, this 0 will move here and this 1 will shift here and this 1 will be discarded. Now if you count number of ones now at time instant t7, your number of ones are 3. If you observe, if you want to calculate the number of ones at time instant t7, what do you need to know? The first thing is, in order to calculate the number of ones at time instant t7 after time instant t6, what you have to know is you have to keep somewhere in memory the number of ones at time instant t6 or at previous time. If you know the state of this register or the number of ones in this register, only way you can calculate the number of ones in this register at next time t7. What you have done is you had previous value of 4 and an input which changed this 4 to 3. You can observe yourself that if instead of 0 you apply 1, this 4 will be 4, because this 1 will be discarded, but you are inserting another one. In this case, actually what you are doing is you have a sequential circuit which has memory inside to store the state of your sequential machine, in this case number of ones in this register, and the input. And you will get your output, which is the number of ones at different time instances. The main difference between sequential machines and combinational machines or combinational circuits is sequential machines have memory. In order to calculate the output in sequential machines, they require some value which is stored in memory. If this memory is not there, there will be no difference between sequential or combinational circuit. This is one main difference, that in sequential machines you need memory. So formally, in sequential machine you have some combinational logic. To find next state, remember this is the next state, this was the previous state, and a memory to store previous state. Here you have previous state. This is your output, and here you have your input. Here you have your output. But as you have seen in my previous example of serial bit shift register, in order to calculate the next state, here you have next state, here you have previous state. Your sequential machine requires, apart from your input, it also requires the previous state. This is a sequential machine. In sequential machine, your output not only depends your input, but it also depends the present state of your machine. Using the present state and the input, it calculates the next state. As we have seen here, in order to calculate the next state, which was 3, when you applied 0, it used this input 0 and the previous state, which was 4. So there were two inputs to combinational circuits, which are present state and an input. Based on these inputs, this simple combinational logic that you have studied in previous lectures, you calculate next state. In the sequential machines, This memory is also known as state register. Now, this is the formal definition or formal structure of sequential machines. But this sequential machines has lot of problems. For example, this machine can go into metastable state, can be unpredictable. They can go into race conditions. For such sequential machines, race conditions are very problematic because they are not synchronous. There must be some mechanism to make it synchronous. Sequential machines are mainly of two types. In one type, you do not incorporate any clock. You have you do not apply any clock to state registers. And if you do not apply or synchronize your state transitions with clock, the sequential machines can go into race conditions, or there could be some timing issues with it. We will discuss today what are timing issues that this circuit can face. And if you apply a clock or synchronize this state registers using a clock, this sequential machine is known as synchronous sequential machines, or alternatively you call it finite state machines. What is finite here? I will talk about it later. Now if you do not apply clock here, the sequential machine or asynchronous sequential machine can violate timings, or it can undergo timing violations, or it can also face race conditions. Now let us see what are timing violations for a sequential machine. Let's suppose this is your clock. In order to understand timing violations, we have to know some definitions. So let's suppose this is your clock, and I am saying just this short portion of your clock is, which I highlighted with red, it is a setup time. And this time, just after the edge of the clock, I am calling it hold time. One thing that you must remember, you operate your sequential machines at either a rising edge or falling edge of the clock. So I am considering I am operating my sequential machine at the rising edge of the clock. And just before this rising edge, you have a setup time, and after this edge, you have hold time. Now let's suppose you apply an input like this to your sequential machine. Here you can see your input doesn't change during this setup time, as well as it also doesn't change during this hold time. So your input is stable, and you can say there is no timing violation in this case. Now let's suppose in the next clock cycle, this is your setup time and this is your hold time, and you apply another input which has a rising edge. It has a rising edge within setup time. So in this case, your sequential machine can go into metastable state or stuck in a race condition. Here, setup time violation occurs. Here, setup time violation occurs. Similarly, let's suppose you apply another input which remains stable during setup time, but it goes down within hold time. Then this hold time violation occurs. Last extreme case is you apply an input which looks like this. Here both setup and hold violation occurs. In order to operate your sequential machines, such violations should not occur. Setup time and hold time both are constraints on your sequential circuits. Setup time is a constraint that your data must be stable within this interval, whereas hold time constraint is a constraint that your data must be stable within this hold time interval. If your data is not stable or it transitions between these intervals, setup time violation occurs and your sequential machine will not work properly. That's why asynchronous sequential machines are difficult to operate and they suffer race conditions or metastability. Another issue that sequential machines face is they must require to satisfy another condition which is known as clock skew. First thing is the skew is a measure of asymmetry. Asymmetry is opposite of symmetry. Skew is a measure of asymmetry. So the clock skew refers to the condition that active edges of the clock does not occur at exactly the same time at every flip-flop of your state register. For example, as I have just told you, your register is a combination of flip-flops. So state register here, the state register is a combination of flip-flops. Clock skew requires that active edge must not appear exactly at the same time at each flip-flop to avoid race conditions or metastability. So the clock skew is another requirement that your sequential circuits must meet. So in order to meet the clock skew requirement, you can change your clock. What you have studied up till now is, you know, this is your clock, which is periodic, and this duration and this duration, they are both equal. Let's suppose this is T1, this is T2. For this clock, T1 is equal to T2. Such clock is known as symmetric clock. If these durations are not equal, your clock is known as asymmetric clock. For example, this is a periodic clock from here to here, but both this T1 and T2, they are not equal. This is an example of asymmetric clock. So in sequential circuits, you can apply asymmetric clocks to meet hold time and setup time constraints. It will be easy for you if you apply asymmetric clocks to your sequential circuits. You can avoid timing violations because it gives you a convenience to adjust your hold time and setup time, and it can also meet the requirement of clock skew. Synchronous sequential machines are also known as finite state machines because finite state machines has finite number of states. For example, if your state register has only 2 bits, n is equal to 2, where n is the number of bits present in a state register or width of your state register, then this state register has 2 raised to power n possible number of states. Because this 2 raised to power n is finite, your synchronous sequential machines are also known as finite state machines. Finite state machines are mainly of 2 types. One is Mealy and the other one is Moore. In Mealy type finite state machine, you have next state logic, which gives you the next state, and you have a state register which is operating on some clock, because we are discussing synchronous sequential machines or finite state machines, and this state register has n width or n bits that it can store, and it will have 2 raised to power n possible states, and this state register gives you the present state. This present state will go back as a feedback to next state combinational logic, and this next state combinational logic will also have an input. This present state will go to another combinational logic which is known as output combinational logic, and this output combinational logic will give you the output of your sequential machine. So in Mealy finite state machine, your output combinational logic depends on present state as well as the input. This is Mealy finite state machine. Now, if you remove this link, from this Mealy type machine, it will become Moore finite state machine. In Moore type finite state machine, you do not have any linkage of your output combination logic with the input. In Moore type finite state machine, your output combinational logic only depends on present state. So this is the block diagram of Moore finite state machine. The only difference is output combinational logic only depends on present state, whereas in Mealy type state machine, your output combinational logic depends on input as well as present state. So up till now, we have formally defined what are sequential circuits, what are their types. They have mainly two types. One is asynchronous sequential machines, which do not incorporate clock with state registers. They suffer race conditions or they face timing violations. To avoid the timing violations or race conditions or metastability of the sequential machine, you use clock with your state registers. Then I have explained timing violations, in which you have to satisfy hold time constraints, setup time constraints. Moreover, you also have to meet the requirement of clock skew. For that purpose, you can apply asymmetric clock to your state registers. We have just seen two types of clock waveforms. One is symmetric and another one is asymmetric. If you apply the clock to your state registers, what you get is you get synchronous sequential machines, which are commonly known as finite state machines, because their state registers have finite number of states which are equal to 2 raised to power n, where n is the number of flip-flops or number of bits that your state register can store. Finite state machines are of two types. One is the Mealy type finite state machine, in which your output depends on present state as well as the input. In Moore type finite state machine, your output only depends on present state. It doesn't depend on the input. Now, as we have defined the sequential machines or finite state machines, now onward your task will be to design such machines. So in the next lecture, I will show you how we can design a sequential machine or finite state machine. Just an overview: finite state machines can be represented using timing diagrams, that you can study yourself in chapter number, I guess it is 11 of your textbook. Finite state machines can also be represented using state transition tables. They are like truth tables. You will see when we will design finite state machine or analyze a finite state machine, we will use these state transition tables. Similarly, finite state machines can also be represented using state transition graphs, which are known as STG. We will also use them to design or analyze a finite state machine, and moreover we can also use algorithmic state machines, ASM charts, to represent our finite state machines. This ASM charts you will study after the midterm exam. So in the next lecture, we will use these state transition tables and state transition graphs to design or analysis of a finite state machine. If you have any question, you are free to ask me anytime. My email address is given. You can contact me anytime on my email ID. In the next lecture, we will design our first finite state machine. Thank you.